All right, everybody, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Eric. Make sure you like, subscribe below so you guys can stay up to date. But today we are going to talk about backcountry water setups. Specifically, we're going to talk about the backcountry water setup that I use and talk about some of the mistakes I've made along the way. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways to filter or purify water in the backcountry. Today, I'm going to talk about using a filter because that's my preferred method. So as you can see, I've gone through a couple of options and I will kind of talk about those options and then let you guys know what works for me. So let me get this stuff out and we'll get going. All right, cool. So as you can see, I have about every Sawyer water filter ever made. I've got an MSR water filter that I use on my truck because I can screw it straight onto a hose tap. Super convenient when you're at a campsite and you want to fill up a big can of water. But my go-to nowadays is just the regular old Sawyer squeeze water filter. And we'll talk about why a little bit, but this is what I use every day. So most recently on my last backpacking trip, I like to drink water as I'm traveling. So as I'm walking down the path, I like to have a bladder or a hose that I can just kind of sip on as I'm going. So recently I tried to use which one is this? Mini. I tried to use the Mini as an inline filter. And I tested this at home. I actually used it with this 3-liter bladder and then slid it into the back of my pack, had it running out, and then would just drink off of it. Tested it at home, worked great. The only problem was when I got out on the trail and I wasn't using already filtered water, it took forever and it was really hard to pull water through this. So it was kind of lame and it really set me back. So what I ended up moving towards, thanks to a buddy of mine that was on the trip, we kind of patched out this new setup using the Sawyer Squeeze. Now, I've owned all of these Sawyer products. The Squeeze and the Mini are great. Under no circumstance ever should you buy the Sawyer Micro. This thing is kind of garbage. Just toss it. It's like kind of in between. You can see it's like a little bit too small, but also like kind of big. I just think it's like too in between a bunch of things. And ultimately, like it's not like it's that much lighter. 15 grams. The micro is 50, or the squeeze is 15 grams heavier. So not that big of a deal. And this thing's just kind of junk and it doesn't work. So the biggest thing for me between the Sawyer squeeze and the Sawyer Mini is that the Mini flow is pretty slow. If you've ever tried to use one of these Sawyer bags, which I've never used one without breaking it, you kind of know that you got to be really gentle with a Mini. It just flows really slow. It's hard to get water moving through it. It works really well, but if you're trying to kind of go fast, or if you're in a group, you don't want to be the person that's sitting there like and everybody's waiting on filling. So like these things are great, but they are just kind of slow. And I think that for the weight difference between the two of them, like it's not a huge weight difference, not a huge size difference. So it's 30 grams heavier for this one, but it saves tons of time. We were backpacking and we had a group that we caught up to, and it was taking them like 45 minutes to fill up 5 people's water supply. Now, granted, they had way more water than they needed, but it was taking them forever to fill up their water with these guys. I was using this, and it would take me a while, but since it was just me, we all had our own filter. It wasn't that big of a deal. But the Mini is great. I just think it flows a little bit slow if you're trying to kind of keep moving or get kind of get on your way. And then I think it's also just like hard to pull on if you wanted to like set it up and just drink straight off the water, if you want to put it on your water bottle. I just think they're kind of hard to use. Not hard to use, they're easy to use. The flow rate's just a little low for me. So I finally settled on the Sawyer Squeeze as my filter. All right, cool. So next, let's talk a little bit about bladders and like how to scoop the water or carry water or whatever you're going to use. If you buy a Sawyer, most of them come with these little bags. I did a trip recently with 4 of us, and we ended up all using one of these for one reason or another. and I think all 4 of them broke. I've never gone on a trip and brought one of these and it not broke. Like you end up squeezing it too hard because you're in a hurry or you're kind of bored and you're trying to push water through it fast, and the glued seams end up kind of coming apart. So they still kind of work. You can also like cut them up and use them as a scoop if you want to do that, but they work. Just like, don't put your life into them because they usually end up breaking. So the other option that I really like is the CNOC. So this is the CNOC Vecto 2-liter. What I like about this a lot is if you do anything in the cold, if you're trying to fill this up and the water's cold, you got to dunk your hand in. You got to kind of find a spot. You're getting water all over your hands. You're trying to fill up this small hole. It can take a few minutes and maybe your hands go numb. With the CNOC, the back of it slides off just like a water bladder that you would have in the back of a backpack. And you can really quickly just, scoop, open that up, scoop, fill it, close it, seal it. There you go. And then, flip it over, put your filter on, put your gravity filter on, or set it up. It's got a hook if you want to set it up as a gravity filter. I really like this as an option. It's pretty small for being 2 liters. It just doesn't look like it's 2 liters, but it does hold 2 liters of water. I think the only drawback here is like it's a little heavier than some of the other stuff. Like it's not exceptionally heavier, but you feel really good about if you carried this. You carry a few extra grams, but like you're carrying it because it's going to stay together. It's easier. I think they're grams that are worth carrying because these things are really awesome. You can kind of just feel them when you get your hands on them. They're a little bit thicker plastic than my my Amazon kind of budget option. But CNOC Outdoors makes awesome bladders if you're looking for one, and I just really like the fact that like the top of it comes off. So this guy is the Vecto 2-liter, and it comes in at, what is that, 80? It's 79 grams. So really light, but really easy option. Folds up, rolls up really small, and a good bladder for you to like kind of pull water off and fill with. And then the option that I kind of choose is like a very lightweight option. This is Evernew. These are just an Amazon. I think they're just an Amazon company, actually. I don't know. I got it off Amazon. The company is called Evernew. I'll drop a link in there, but this thing's really light, 42 grams. It is a little bit, it's like, it kind of feels like grocery bag, like now that they make thicker grocery bags, it feels a bit like that kind of material. It's a little bit thicker plastic. It's not super thin and cheap, but it is all like glue sealed. So it could potentially fail just like the Sawyers, but I've never had that happen. I think it's a little bit like just like thicker plastic and like kind of sturdier make on these. But same kind of drawback to this is like the Sawyer. When you open it up, you got to kind of dip your whole hand into the river or stream or waterfall or whatever you're pulling water off of, which it could be cold if you're not into that. I don't like when my hands are cold. It drives me nuts. But just something that like makes this CNOC a little bit easier if you're kind of adverse to that. But this guy is super light, super easy to use. And then so if this is what I'm carrying, this will get stashed in my pack. It'll get rolled together with my filter. And then with this guy, you've got to bring the Sawyer, certain Sawyer products. I think the Flow is one of them, or I'm sorry, I think the Squeeze is one of them. Come with this coupler that allows you to, kind of attach. You can screw this right on to there, and then you would screw the coupler right onto the end of your. These are full, but so we'll see how this goes. But you can screw the coupler right onto the end of your filter, and then that is what allows you to sort of seal this up and screw. Now I unscrewed it to the bottom, unscrewed it from the filter, but it allows you to kind of set this all up so it's all kind of locked in, right? It's all kind of sealed there, screwed together. So you would dip this in, fill it with water in the stream, and then kind of slowly push water through. They make a little like third party like air plug you can buy for a water bottle. I've never had a problem with air coming back out. I think maybe the secret is like just don't tighten this, like arm wrestle it tight, leave a little gap, and you really just kind of want it to keep it lined up, and that'll let enough air out that everything will kind of flow in nice. And I mean, I know a ton of people use smart water bottles. I use smart water bottles. If you're not using them, I mean, you can use whatever. They are just a little bit thicker, like a little bit heavier, and actually, I'm dried out. They're a little bit thicker, a little bit heavier. So like they're kind of just a little bit more durable. I think there's a lot of rumors that these are going to go away. But there's a bunch of stuff that's like Element or Essential water bottles. I think is like Essential water is like kind of the same. And then you can buy these in a couple of different sizes. So traditionally, what I will do is have one or two of these and a small smart water bottle. I'll bring the small one because I like to carry a product called Noon, which is just an electrolyte tab. I don't like just drinking water 24/7. So I'll bring Noon, drop a tablet into this. What's great about the small water bottles is they have I haven't actually opened this yet, but they have the sport cap on it. And the sport cap can double as like a plunger for your filter. So you can backflow your filter to clean it with the sport cap. Let me find one. All the Sawyer products come with a plunger here. You just suck clean water into this, and then basically just reverse flow it, push sediment or whatever's gotten caught up in there out. But with if you don't want to carry this with you, just either buy a sport bottle, and you can, at least I think you can. Pretty sure I've done that. Yeah, you can just swap the tops, and that way you could carry your your 1 liter. These are 1 liter, which is great. So you can carry a 1 liter water bottle, and then with the sport top, and then that is what you can use to back flush or clean out your filter. Also with this setup, makes it easy, right? You can, if you've got everything kind of screwed in here. If you've got everything screwed together here, you can filter your water into your bottle, and then you can kind of take this off. I'm not going to do it, but then you can kind of flip it and clean your filter. Just give it a quick squeeze, blow anything out of there that got caught up, and then you've got your water. So I got water every place, but should have one of these empty. Cool. So that is kind of it in a nutshell for the stuff I carry. This is the Evernew. This is the Sawyer. I think all in, I don't know if that'll stay on there. You're looking at 105 grams. And that doesn't include, the weight of these water bottles plus water. All right, cool. So now let's talk about how I set this up on my pack. Because like I said, I like to drink water as I'm moving. So this is, there we go. So this is my current pack. This is the Patagonian 9 Trails. They don't make this pack anymore, unfortunately, but I'm in the process of getting a new one. So this is what I carried most recently. I think my tag or the remnants of my tag are still on there. So you might see this sitting off to the side and kind of wonder what's going on. Like I said, I like to drink as I walk. So the most recent trip I did, I carried this 3 liters with I guess it was set up just like this. It was tucked inside my pack, and then I had the filter running out, and I would just kind of sip off of the filter. This was awful. I don't recommend this. It was really hard to get water out of the filter. I wasn't ready. I wasn't made for that. So I ended up on that trip just squeezing into the bottles that I had. I had a small bottle, and then I had a bag, and I just ended up using that. And there was water everywhere, so it was fine. Just meant we had to stop a little bit more often. But now that I'm using this setup and filling these bottles, I picked this little doohickey up off of Amazon. You could totally make this yourself. Just cut a hole in the cap, run a hose, a tube in there, seal it, and then put a mouthpiece on there. But I've been really, really happy with this as a setup because it kind of lets me do both things that I want, which is to carry the smart water bottles, and then also, you know, have the hose and the mouthpiece, and I can just drink as I walk. So this guy just tucks into the side of my pack. Boom. And then I kind of secure it up a little bit. This pack looks really awkward because I just have a bunch of pillows stuffed in it, but yeah, so then it just kind of threads through everything. And bada bing, bada boom. It's really easy. You know, just pull straight off my bottle that's in here, and I can, you know, sip on it as I walk. I can switch this back and forth if I need to switch out a different bottle, or, you know, like want to have something different, a different smart water bottle on there. I can just swap the bottle. So I just unscrew it, you know, unscrew it, pull it out, put the new bottle in, screw it back in, and it works really, really well. So the only downside to this, I think, is that if you're not looking at your water while you're like drinking it, you might lose track of how much you're drinking or how much is in there. So, you know, like if you're in a situation where there's infrequent stops between water, it just might be worth every now and then pulling this out, making sure you're either drinking enough water or that you haven't, you know, drank too much water and you need to refill or something. But I think there's some like mental, you know, if you're pulling your water bottle out all the time, you can kind of do like a quick gauge of like, okay, I've drank half this water and I need to drink all of it or whatever. So you might just, you know, lose that mental or that visual like confirmation about how much water you have left. But otherwise, this is my setup. This is what I really like. Notes, comments, concerns, let me know. There's a million filter brands out there. Platypus makes some great stuff. I love my MSR one, as I love like all MSR products that I have. So not to say you have to stick with Sawyer, but that's just kind of what I've ended up with. Some things have been gifts. Some have just been, you know, what other friends have used that I liked and thought worked really well. So yeah, let me know. Make sure you subscribe, like, and leave a comment if you have a question. Thanks. Later, guys.